Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Aura News broadcast. It is 6 o'clock, and that means it's now time for our daily English news edition. And as usual, I'm Daniel Cook, your host, presenting a translated version of today's top news stories. The Minister of Finance was criticized in the Economic Commission today by the MPs of both the majority and the opposition for favoring big business and penalizing the small business sector. Minister Tsani denied these claims and asked his accusers to provide specific examples. He was also criticized by the chairman of the Economic Commission, Erion Brace, over the issuing of concessions. Mr. Brace claimed that many of the concessions that depend on the Ministry of Finance offer very poor service. Today's Economic Commission adopted an agreement on the scanning process at the customs points, in which manufacturers will be exempt from mandatory scanning. Today's Law Commission was focused on the criminal code, and the Commission adopted a number of changes that will bring harsher penalties against informality in the business sector. Under these new changes, the penalty for smuggling goods will be up to 7 years in prison. The majority and the opposition were not in agreement on the issue, and the Commission was held amid debate between the parties. The opposition considered the penalties to be too repressive, while the Minister of State, Ermenele Veliaj, felt that increasing the penalties was necessary because informality in business has spread. The Democratic MP Edward Halimi said that the government is telling people that they will go to prison for doing business. According to him, strengthening the penalties will not reduce informality. On the other side, the Socialist MP Bashkim Fino defended the harsher penalties, saying that the government is trying to bring businesses back into line. Petrit Vasili of the SMI asked for more data on the smuggling in Albania, saying that the penalties should be increased for repeat offenses. The Commission postponed their discussion on the proposed penalty of 3 years in prison for neglecting to issue sales receipts. The municipality of Tirana is planning to build a central park that will be 6 times bigger than the Rania Park. Mayor Veliaj has announced that the park will be built next to the new boulevard and will be similar to the Central Park of New York. Mr. Veliaj made the following statement today while inspecting the work. "We have made a decision to build a central park similar to that of New York. Another piece of good news for the citizens is that we will soon start working on the construction of a 400-space parking lot in the area of the train station." The mayor went on to say that the agreement with the Abu Dhabi Fund has been renegotiated and that they are expecting a lower interest rate, reducing the cost for the municipality. It appears that not everyone is happy about the new boulevard. A number of the citizens who live in the area have called on the government to reconsider the compensation for their properties. They say that they will not leave their homes until they have received fair compensation for their properties. The municipality has said that they are negotiating with these citizens to find a solution to this problem. The neighboring country of Kosovo has signed a Stabilization and Association Agreement with the European Union. Prime Minister Isa Mustafa signed the document along with the EU Chief of Foreign Policy, Mogherini, in Strasbourg. Mogherini described the agreement as a very important step that implies a great deal of work on both sides. Now, she said, it all comes down to implementing the agreement. Once implemented, it will bring great benefit to both Kosovo and the European Union. The EU Enlargement Commissioner, Johannes Hahn, made the following comment. "This is a big day for all of us. We are grateful to our teams who made this possible. I'm looking forward to being in Kosovo next week to see this agreement through." The Kosovo Prime Minister Isa Mustafa hopes that the next step will be visa liberalization. He said that this was one of the most important days since the declaration of Kosovo's independence. "Today, my country officially entered into a contractual arrangement with the European Union," he said, "which is a very important process for us. With this agreement, we confirmed the will of the Kosovo citizens toward the Euro integration perspective. This agreement opens Kosovo's path toward the EU. It paves the way for strengthening of democracy and the rule of law. We will do everything we can to justify this very important step that we are taking," Mustafa said. The Minister of the EU Integration also praised the agreement. We want to become members of the European family in terms of economic integration and also to share in the EU values," Solaku said. Tirana's high state leaders have applauded the agreement, and Prime Minister Rama called it a historic development for Kosovo. Foreign Minister Dietmir Bushati said that the agreement further anchors Kosovo in the European waters. The Democratic chairman Lulzim Basha also felt that Kosovo took a step forward toward the EU membership today, calling it a big achievement for Kosovo. President Bujar Nishani congratulated the president of Kosovo over the telephone, calling the agreement a foundation for the further progress of Kosovo. During his visit to the United States, the Assembly Speaker Ilir Meta was received by the Regional Director for Central and Eastern Europe of the National Democratic Institute, Mr. Robert Benjamin. Meta was accompanied by the chairwoman of the Committee for Foreign Affairs, Mrs. Arta Dade. The leaders discussed the important contribution that the National Democratic Institute, or NDI, plays in the country of Albania. They discussed the cooperation between the Parliament and the NDI in important areas, such as the functioning and transparency of Parliament, the cooperation with the administration of Parliament, and the exchange of experience. Mr. Meta emphasized the importance of the contribution of NDI in improving the work of the Parliament by training the administration and improving the legislative framework. He declared that the NDI has played a special role in enhancing the cooperation of the parliaments in the region. Mr. Benjamin also praised the ongoing cooperation with the Parliament of Albania and expressed the commitment of the organization that he represents to cooperate further. He expressed the desire to advance in several important elements, such as the representation of women in politics and the Parliament, increasing the role of Parliament in terms of the control over the executive, the Parliamentary Code of Ethics and Conduct, increasing the quality of services, and the involvement of young people in politics. The leaders exchanged their views on the situation of the region, the refugee crisis, and the need for greater regional cooperation in order to face these challenges. Despite the positive signs of a possible agreement between the majority and the opposition on the decriminalization issue, the chairman of the Special Commission, Oerd Bulukbashi, has stated that the Democratic Party will not reach an agreement with the majority unless all of their points are addressed. As of now, drug testing is the only point on which the majority and opposition do not agree. Yesterday, the Minister of State for Parliamentary Relations, Ermonela Veliaj, called the Democratic Party to withdraw from its request on drug testing. According to her, this would make implementing the law impossible. Prime Minister Rama is currently on a 3-day visit to China to participate in the economic forum being held in Hong Kong. Around 100 entrepreneurs from Hong Kong and other areas of China were present at the forum. These entrepreneurs shared their interest in investing in Albania and increasing the trade between the countries. Prime Minister Rama said that Albania is a country with great potential and that it is ready to welcome investors from China and Hong Kong. He said, "Today's activity offers the opportunity to discuss current and future investments in our country because our government aims to extend its agenda of internal investments. The Albanian government is committed to remolding the economic model based on developmental resources like oil, minerals, energy, tourism, and agriculture. Albania offers competitive advantages to foreign investors in terms of geographical location, tax breaks, and labor costs. We are in a favorable position as far as taxes and labor, and especially the labor costs in Albania have been very low so far. Economic growth increased by 2.1% last year, and by the end of the year, we aim to be at 2.7 to 3%, said Mr. Rama. The Prime Minister invited the investors to come and invest in Albania, but also to come and vacation here. He went on, "Our main goal is to make Albania attractive, not only for investors, but for vacationers as well. We intend to create a touristic market for visitors from China," declared the Prime Minister. Thanks for tuning in once again to our daily English news edition. We will be back again at the same time tomorrow night, 6 o'clock p.m. right here on Aura News. Thanks, and have a great night.